Hello everyone, welcome back to Nugget and Nut Handmade Skincare. Today we're here to make another fun dessert video, soap making video. Today we're going to be making pistachio bundt cake. So this is the mold we're going to be using. Again, we're using individual molds. So the plan is we're going to make the actual soap bundt cake, let it go overnight, and then the next day we'll do frosting, decorations on top. So that's the plan. So right now I have enough, we're going to make enough batter to fill up 10 of these molds. Probably have a little bit extra, but I have another mold here on the side in case that's the case. So we have some fun additives today. Today we're going to be using some kaolin clay in here. So I'm going to go ahead and plop that in here. That's about 2 tablespoons of kaolin clay, and I also have some agave nectar. So this is an alternative to honey if you want to keep your soaps vegan. This soap is a vegan soap, so it's a good alternative if you want to add some lather. Anytime you add anything sweet to your soap, any sugars, it is going to add lather to your bar. And then there's also the belief that this kind of thing is good for your skin, although we make no claims. We just make bars of soap that will clean your skin. Okay, so that's that. We also have another additive that we'll be adding later. This is matcha powder, so that's just something else fun that we'll be adding. We are making this soap 3 different colors. We're going to make white, and then we have 2 different greens that we'll be using. We have a lighter green and a darker green, and these are both made with Envy from Micas. The only difference with this one is that I added some activated charcoal to make it darker. So that's the plan. So I'm going to go ahead and add this, or mix this. We'll stick blend it a little bit also, and then we're going to add our lye solution to this. Okay, now that our additives are all mixed in, we're going to add our lye solution. So what we have here in this pot is, instead of water, I used 50% oat milk and 50% aloe vera. So this oat milk, I made it here because the ones that you do buy in the grocery store, sometimes they have additives to it. So that could mess with your soap recipe if you're using those. So I just make it here. If you are going to buy it in the grocery store, I would just make sure you buy an all-natural one that doesn't have any additives that could mess with your recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and add this in. I'm not using a strainer today, just because, as you can probably see, it's a bit thick because of there are a little bit of oat pieces from the oat milk, so they would just get stuck in the strainer. But I have mixed it in, the lye, super well. I mixed it a bunch to make sure everything was dissolved. Also, sometimes if you use things besides water or aloe vera, something that's not clear, you have to make sure you always mix your lye solution just a little bit extra to make sure there's no sitting lye in there, because you can't really see, right? Like if you're using water or something clear, you can see if there's any pieces or any chunks that haven't been dissolved, but when it's an opaque substance, that's not the case. So you just want to make sure you mix everything in super well before you add it into your oils. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and mix this until we reach emulsion, and then we're going to pour it off into our different sections for color and fragrance. Okay, now that we reached emulsion, we're going to go ahead and separate our batter into 3 different pitchers, and we are going to start adding colors and fragrance to them. Okay, so what I'm thinking is that most of it is going to be white, and then we'll do a little bit less of each of the green colors. So let's go ahead and pour it off. I'm going to try not to get as many shots of my head. In the video, watching the video that we made last time, I realized my head was in a lot of those frames, so I do apologize for that, so I'll try to do better this time. Now we're going to scrape it all out and then start adding the good stuff. So let's go ahead and add our colors. To this big one, we're going to be adding titanium dioxide, and then we'll add our greens to these smaller ones. So the fragrance that we're using today is called Pistachio Pudding Cake. It does have 5% vanillin, so this white will be turning, according to Nature's Garden, light brown. So we'll see what happens. So I'm already planning on that, which means also that all our greens will probably darken a little bit as well. So we've taken that into consideration while making the soap. Most dessert sweet fragrances like that will have some vanillin in it. If you find one that doesn't, then that's pretty cool. But you can still use them. You just have to kind of plan around it and just kind of work that into your recipe. Here I have the matcha powder, so I'm going to go ahead, because it's green, it will tint it just a little bit. Some people use matcha as a natural colorant, which I have done before, but right now we're just using it as a fun additive. So I'm going to put half in each of my green pitchers, because I don't want to dye the white one any tint of green, especially if it's going to be browning a little bit. That might not be the best look. Okay, we're going to add our colors. Let's start with the light green. So the matcha isn't going to affect the smell or anything like that. All it will do is add color and then some extra fun to your soap. Like I said, I have used it as a natural colorant. In our shop we have a soap called Tea Party that uses it. We use it to make the green parts of that soap. So that's something that you can do as well. So let's go ahead and mix this just to see what we got, if we're happy with it. Once we stick blend, it'll mix a lot better as well. I'm thinking I might add some titanium dioxide to this lighter green one, just so that there's more of a contrast. It'll kind of make it go a little bit more pastel of a green. Yeah, so we're going to add a little bit of titanium dioxide, because we do want there to be a contrast between the greens. Yeah, so now you can see more of a difference. We'll blend them up and we'll see if we're happy. Okay, so here's our fragrance. We're using, like I said, Pistachio Pudding Cake. It is quite strong. It smells really good. It smells like something you could literally eat. To give you guys an idea, the top notes of this fragrance is churned butter and almond. It has some middle notes of pistachio and honey. And then the base notes is vanilla pudding. So that's what it smells like. It smells really good. Like you could eat it. But it is soap, so we will not eat it. Now we're going to stick blend them just a little bit, and then we're going to be doing an in the pot swirl and then pouring them. Last video I noticed that I kept saying drop swirl when I meant in the pot swirl, so that was my bad. Today I made sure to say it right. Okay, so let's go ahead and stick blend for a little bit, starting with the lightest color. Okay, so that's good. I'm just going to wipe down the stick blender, and then we're going to do the in the pot swirl, and then we're going to pour into our molds. Here's my bowl that I'm going to be doing the in the pot swirl. So maybe we'll put the white first, most of it. Then we'll add each of the greens to either side. Try not to make a mess. Add the rest of the white. And let's try to get it all out. Perfect. Now we'll alternate. Maybe we'll put this green on this side this time. Scrape it out. And now our dark green on this side. Okay, now we're just going to give it a couple of mixes, not too much. Perfect. And now we're going to go ahead and pour. So let's put this over here. Let's get our molds. Okay, so I'm going to try to be careful pouring this because there's a hole on the top of each of these. And I don't want the soap to go through. I'm going to do my best not to get my head in there. Okay, so the soap is getting a little bit thick on me, so I'm trying not to go over the hole, but it's not going so well, which is okay. Just have to clean it off later. Okay, so let's pat these down a little bit. Okay, at this point I gave up on the idea of not pouring over the hole. That's not happening. As you guys could see, all these holes are covered, but it's okay. I'm doing my best to flatten these out because this will be the bottom of the soap. So I want it to be flat, I don't want it to be lopsided. So that's why we want to try to get these as even as possible. If anyone are not exactly even, it's fine. You can bevel it down to get it even. Okay, so I do have a lot of extra batter. Okay, I have this mold ready. It is a little teddy bear complete in 2 heads. I actually tested this mold out before and realized that it's not even. It's kind of lopsided. Like if you tried it with water, it would go to the side. It wasn't flat. So I'm using these molds to keep it straight. Hopefully that'll work. So we should be able to fill this guy. See, you guys can see it's like going to the side. Very not straight, but that's okay. Okay, so that's supporting it. I have a little bit extra, so hopefully I can fill one of these heads as well. Okay, so I went ahead and added the little batter I had left to the rest of my bundt molds just to not waste anything. So now what we're going to do is that we're just going to let these sit overnight, and then we will unmold them, and then we will decorate. So see you guys tomorrow. Okay, so over here the next day, we're going to frost our bundt cakes. So what I'm going to do first, the bundt cakes are ready to be unmolded, but because we have to let the frosting sit a little bit so it gets to a piping consistency, we're going to go ahead and whip that up first. So I have all my oils here. We're basically going to use the same recipe that we did yesterday, kaolin clay, and I have my agave nectar. We're just not using the matcha powder because we don't want to tint this green. So I'm going to go ahead and dump that in there. And we're going to put in our agave nectar. Okay, so I'm going to mix this with my spatula first so that kaolin clay doesn't, since it's powdery, doesn't whip up when I stick blend. Just incorporate it a little bit. Okay, now let's go ahead and stick blend just so it gets fully incorporated. Okay, so now that everything is nice and mixed in, we're going to go ahead and add our lye solution. Again, it's the same recipe we used yesterday. So again, we have half oat milk and half aloe vera juice. So I'm just going to pour this down my spatula. Make sure we got everything in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and stick blend. Burp our stick blender. And let's do it. Okay, so for our frosting, we're only going to be doing one color. We're going to make this white. Like I said yesterday, it will turn supposedly to a light brown. We'll see what happens when the time comes. So I'm going to go ahead and put some titanium dioxide to turn it white, and then we'll add our fragrance. Let's see how we feel about that. I'm going to go ahead and add my fragrance now as well. And again, we're using pistachio pudding cake. And we'll add more titanium dioxide if needed after we stick blend and see what we got. Okay, so we're going to let this thicken up so we can pipe it on top of our bundt cakes. And in the meantime, we'll unmold our cakes. Okay, so let's put this to the side for one moment. Let's get our cakes. Okay, so here's our cakes, ready to be unmolded. You can see they do have a little bit of soda ash on the top, this white substance. There's two ways to deal with it. You can either steam them and it'll go away, or you could just bevel it and it'll go away, or you could just leave it. It is the bottom of the bundt cake anyway, so it's not going to be seen unless you turn the soap over. So it's just an aesthetic thing. It doesn't really affect anything, so it's really up to the soap maker how they want to go about fixing that, if at all. So let's go ahead and take out our mold, and there we go. There's our first cake. Oh, it's still a little bit soft, so we need to be a little bit careful with it. Let's unmold the rest carefully. There are a few air bubbles I'm seeing, probably because of the lines that are kind of thin in this mold, but that's okay. It will have frosting on top, so we should be able to cover some of those imperfections. But the shape of this bundt cake, I actually chose it like this. The shape of this bundt cake is a little bit different, as you can see with the lines. I actually quite like it. It's a little bit different, I thought, which is why I chose it. So this is why it's important to tap down your molds, especially when you have an intricate shape like this, is to avoid those air bubbles. My batter was a little bit thicker than I would have liked, and the thicker it is, the harder it will be to get those air bubbles out when you tap them. But again, it's just an aesthetic thing. It doesn't affect the soap or the quality of the soap. The smell of this soap is so good, you guys. The next day it smells maybe even better than it did yesterday. As these were setting overnight, it literally smelled like I had baked something delicious. It smells so yummy. Okay, our last one, and those are bundt cakes. Okay, so let's put this to the side. And then I also had my bare mold soap that we did, so let's go ahead and see how that turned out. Have it right here. So this is the individual bear head. Oh, look how cute that is. You can see bear head, and then we also have the whole bear. Hopefully there's not too many air bubbles in this guy. Let's see. air bubble right in the eye. That's so funny. We'll see if we can do something to fix that. But these are super cute, even though the molds are super unstable, but it is a cute result. So we'll leave those here to the side. Okay, so we have some fun decorations for these bundt cakes. We have some embeds, a few different ones. We have some flowers, some different shapes, green, white, gold, a few different shapes, so you can see. And what I did with these is that I painted the middles, or the roses, like this white rose, I painted it all with a gold or green dusting. Basically what you do is you just take some mica and you put a little bit of 91% rubbing alcohol on it to create kind of like a paint, and then you paint whatever you want on your embeds, and when that alcohol dries, it'll just leave the color behind, and it gives a little bit, I think, of depth to it. We also have some butterflies, ladybug, some fun things, all again same colors. So we'll be adding these to our soap. And then also another fun thing, we have these gold and white sugar pearls to give it also some funness. And then I also have this green dusting sugar. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't decided 100% if I want to use this yet. We'll decide, I guess, when we get there, but that might go on there too. So let's check our frosting. Oh, yeah. We gotta move with this one. It's getting nice and thick real quick. Okay. That was a lot faster than I expected. Okay, so let's go ahead and dump this in our piping bag. So today the tip I'm using is an open star tip. Okay, so we got our frosting ready. Let's try to push this all down. Sorry for the mess, you guys. I will admit I am more of a messy soap maker. I try my best to be clean, but it doesn't always work out for me. So let's bring our cakes. Okay, we had a little bit of a mayday. Our piping bag burst on us. Okay, so before we move on to decorating our frosted bundt cakes, I'm going to go ahead and spray them with 91% alcohol to hopefully prevent some of that soda ash. Now we can go ahead and start decorating. So I think first I'm going to start putting in my embeds. Hopefully everybody can get a little bit of everything. Again, this will turn more brown. If you did want white frosting, you could do that by simply not putting fragrance in your frosting if your fragrance has vanillin, to avoid the change of color. But because I was putting such a generous amount on these bundt cakes, I did want to put a fragrance in it, so I just try to work it into the design, which is an option also. Oops. Okay, I guess that's where that flower wants to be. So again, this is the part that takes a little bit of patience. You don't have to put embeds on your frosting. You don't have to paint your embeds. Basically, you do whatever you want to do according to how you like things. That's the beauty of any craft, is that you get to decide how you want to do things. I'll put some of the small butterflies on each. We have a bee on this guy. Oh, fail. Okay, so it looks like everybody has, does everybody have 4 embeds? This guy's missing one. Where should I put him? Gold butterfly. Okay. Now let's go ahead and put in our sugar pearls on the top. Try to spread those out a little bit more. And these will fall off once you use these. So they're pretty much just for decorative purposes. Okay, so a trick you can do if you want to do your best to keep these sugar pearls or any other type of similar embed that you might use is I have this chopstick, and you can just use it to push them in a little bit. Either way, it's a good rule to use to always add a little bit more than what you want, because even though I'm not going to be cutting these, some of them will fall off. It's just how it goes. So I'm doing my best to push them in a little bit, so to lose as little as possible, but either way, we're going to lose some of these very little sugar pearls. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue doing that, but basically this is how our end result. So I'm going to go ahead and again leave these for 24 hours just to let the soap get hard, and then we're going to have them cure for 4 weeks, and then they'll be available in our shop. So like I said, the color will change, so I'll be sure to post a picture on our Instagram of the final look once that color change happens. So be sure to follow us at Nugget and Nut. I'll also leave our Instagram page linked below. And thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll hope to see you again. Thank you so much. Have a great one.